You have that.
Oh, we're talking about furries again.
No, this is Black Myth Wukong. This is a very anticipated game, and it's getting attacked. So Screen Rant put a review out, and then everyone's talking about it, and they docked the game in points because it's lacking inclusivity and diversity. This is a game where you play as a monkey man, set in like ancient China. It's basically Journey to the West. The game. This is who Son Goku is based on. Bet you didn't know that, Fatal J. Who's Goku?
Oh, gotcha.
This guy's name is also Goku.
Is this going to do better than Shadows?
This game comes out on Monday.
But you know the Monkey King is big in China. Is this the Monkey King?
This is the Monkey King, yeah.
Yeah, the Monkey King is real huge in China. I don't even know about the Monkey
It's huge
King.
everywhere. Like, this is
So hang on. Games journalists criticize this for lack of diversity.
It's about
Basically.
a monkey.
Yeah. So this is an Asmon Gold video. I'm going to play this.
Jesus.
Score after a female journalist criticized the game for not including female characters and for the monkey's supposed lack of diversity. She then attacked the developers over false accusations. Black Myth Wukong. Combat is fluid and fun. Cinematography can be breathtaking at times. Great diversity in items and mechanics. Cons, game's performance is unpolished, lacking in inclusivity and diversity. While my analysis review of Black Myth Wukong remained focused on gameplay, it's important to mention the controversies surrounding the game's studio and the reports of misogyny and sexism from developers. Playing as a female gamer.
So a little backstory. This studio, some feminist bitch was working for them, and they said, you got to go. Get the fuck out of here. They fired her ass. And they've been going after him ever since.
Of course they have.
Yeah.
Allowed me to notice issues surrounding inclusion and representation. Nothing about being a female allows you to play a video game in a different mindset. That's not even true. That's retarded. Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? I mean, playing like a moron does, and so you do get a unique perspective on this, but it's just not the one that she's talking about. As far as chapters 1 and 2, clearly fictitious. The only exception, you can call it a female as a boss, so there's no girls in the game. Thank God. Here's the thing. Whenever I see stuff like this, it makes it very evident to me that these people are completely disconnected from their audience. I don't think that anybody should take a website seriously that publishes articles like this. Like, for me, like, when I see something like this, I immediately write off everything on the entire website. Like, somebody approved this to happen, right? The website is allowing this to be there because this is not about providing insight and helping consumers make informed decisions. It's about pushing an agenda and trying to make other people follow along with your agenda. I'm so glad that, like, again, this game is going to come out and it's going to be a massive success.
It will be the benchmark tool. This isn't even the game. This is just so you can see if your shit runs right. Had 88,000 concurrent players at one time.
Wow.
Just testing the benchmark of their PC on it. This game is going to be a big game.
It has over almost 700,000 followers on Steam right now.
It's one of the most wish-listed games too, isn't it?
I might.
Way
3 times
up
more
there.
wish list than Warhammer Space Marine 2. Or
Hey,
something.
let me ask
This game.
I want to ask a stupid question. Is that a lot of Chinese customers?
Yeah, I remember. I can't remember exactly what it was, but what the name of the service is in China. But basically, when they allowed Wukong to be pre-ordered in China, it sold over 1 million units within minutes, and like it sold out of all the stock that they had available at the time. This is a few months back. So this game has already sold. I believe, it's definitely sold over 1 million already just in pre-orders alone. So technically, it's already beaten the release of what's it called, Stellar Blade.
Yeah, because see, I got
Which
some
is
Monkey
impressive.
King. I got Monkey King VHS comic books. That stuff is huge in China, man.
Oh yeah. Journey
I
to
don't
the
know-
West is massive. I mean, technically, in a way, like Dragon Ball's inspired by it too, right?
It is,
Yeah.
100%.
Goku's
It's the same,
son Wukong,
yeah,
basically.
it's the same name. Definitely, so that's why he has the monkey tail.
Yep.
And turned into a giant monkey.
And he literally flies on a Nimbus cloud and has a giant magical stick. Like,
Yeah.
same shit.
So, yeah, it's like all of that's influenced from that story.
Yep.
Like, I don't want anybody to be confused about this. And this is a fucking fact.
Even IGN gave it an 8. Think about that.
So when it comes out and it's a
We're gonna watch that review. I got it pulled up.
Who is the
massive
company?
success, it's going to be another example of this type, basically industry-based collusion of like not following a certain type of like viewpoint or like worldview.
Can't wait
It's
for
gonna
this game, dude.
Nailed it right there. 100%. All those studios, there's a bunch of reviews that are docking it because of the bullshit sexism thing that they push on that studio. Some of them even put it in the. Remember with Hogwarts Legacy when they put that little disclaimer, well, J.K. Rowling, big transphobe. They're doing that with this game, putting that the studio's history of sexism in reviews. Like,
I
they're
guarantee
showing
you, this game will not
exactly
get
what he's saying.
nominated for anything. It will not get nominated for anything at the Game Awards or anything.
No.
Not because it's not good, but because it doesn't follow what they want. The same way that they did with Hogwarts.
Yep.
Same thing.
100%.
going to be another point on the graph of that failing. Games journalists and these game review websites are no longer the gatekeepers in selling your game or promoting your game. And the only thing that really matters is advertising directly to the customer and making a game that's fun to play. And filling in the boxes that they've created for you to click. None of this matters. Alienate wokeness. Well, I think that the studios are realizing that by making the people like this happy, they end up alienating their actual customers. Screen Rant Lord.
100%. So I got this IGN review up because everyone's been talking about them because of that what was her Rebecca Valentine wrote that long article saying that the game is sexist and the studio is sexist.
Yep.
I haven't watched it, but I thought we could watch it together, go through it. So this is the game right here. This
Surprised it's not being reviewed by her. That was very deliberate on her part.
There was a funny screenshot floating around that people, I thought it was real for a second, where they were saying she reviewed it and gave it a 5.
Yeah. I think
Did you
Grum
see
shared
that?
that, right? Yeah,
He did.
Grum shared it, I think. Yeah.
He corrected it and said it was wrong. But
Mitchell Saltzman here. I'm the reviewer of Black Myth Wukong, and just a quick note about
how good
this
it
review.
looks.
As part of the embargo agreement
look
set
good.
for this game,
I think it's
I'm
Unreal Engine
unable
5.
to show
I
you
could be
footage
wrong.
beyond Chapter 2, which presents a bit of a problem because a lot of the technical issues that I have with this game that I specifically call out in this review occurred after Chapter 2.
So I'm hoping it doesn't run like shit.
Oh man, it does look really good.
Yeah, but they were talking about technical glitches, and I guess there's a mandate that you can't talk about them or something. I don't know if that's 100% true. I'll have to look into it more, but I hope this game runs good. Man, I hope it runs good.
I already pre-ordered it on PS5, so like
I bought
I'm
it on
good to go.
Steam.
So I'm really hoping it's good. Hoping the trophy list isn't complete ass. I guess we'll see.
I bought it on Steam. I
Yeah.
might stream it.
So
I
I'm
might do
unable
my
to
stream
actually
soon. We'll see what happens. Sorry, go
I
ahead.
got
go
it.
ahead.
Yeah, I forgot. I got to talk to you about that.
Yeah,
So we're
just to like derail for a second. I did a private stream by myself with just me in it, and I was just messing around with all the settings, trying to figure out how to stream properly, like an idiot. I think I understand it, but we'll see. I might have a stream this coming week, but anyway, let's keep going with the review.
We're going to do 2 different video reviews this time. This first one will abide by the restrictions and only show footage from the first 2 chapters, but we will also be posting a more complete review with the relevant footage added in on launch day. And with that, on with the review for Black Myth Wukong.
The combat.
I've never been so
That's great.
utterly blown away, yet simultaneously so unbelievably frustrated by a game as I have been with Black Myth Wukong. This is undoubtedly one of the most ambitious and impressive action games I've played. It's stunningly gorgeous, its combat is fantastic, it's incredibly challenging, but always satisfying to overcome, and the setting is refreshingly unique and steeped in rich Chinese culture.
Wait, ancient China? Where are the black people?
Yeah. Does the game have English voice acting? I never actually looked that up. If not, I don't know.
I don't know.
Or is it just Chinese with subtitles?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
This kind of remind me of God of War. Kind of look like God of War.
That's what
that's
people
the
are
vibe I
comparing
get
it
from
to.
Yeah.
I've heard like it's God of War Souls. People were saying.
Yeah.
Because the Dark Souls inspiration is there, especially in the boss battles. There's like a whole video on YouTube of nothing but boss battles for this game, and it looks good.
Despite all of that, it often feels like it's barely holding it all together. I suffered numerous crashes, despite having a top-of-the-line setup with a GeForce RTX 4090. Not to mention the multiple times I fell through the ground and died in the final phase of a...
I don't know what this is.
Yeah, so in the mythology, Sun Wukong has like dozens of forms, like hundreds actually. So in the game, you can actually transform into other monsters and even bosses, and then use their abilities. Easiest way to explain it,
That's dope.
basically, this is like Monkey Mega Man. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
that.
That's a good analogy.
With
yeah,
the
but the only
upgrade.
problem with it is that apparently, according to the reviews, you can't use the forms to like explore the world. It's a very linear game. Apparently, it opens up at times, but yeah, you don't expect like turn into a bug to go through a crack to find a treasure or anything. But maybe if they do a sequel, which pretty much is guaranteed, they'll do it then. Hopefully.
Daniel Davis with the $20 super chat. Tom is right. The last Rambo was great. He adopted his cleaning lady's daughter, and she died in his arms while he was rescuing her from a heroin den. Then he went on a well-deserved rampage. It's a good ending, in my opinion. I mean, I just didn't like it.
I just
like
didn't
these
like it 'cause
I don't like these grandpa action movies.
Flash. I just didn't like it because he didn't wear the bandana. That's all. That's the only reason why I didn't like it. If he had the bandana, it would have been a different movie.
boss fight, or the way characters would
Clint
randomly
Eastwood's
switch
been
from
making
English to
grandpa
Chinese.
action movies for the last 40 years.
Yeah, most of them have been shit.
No, they
Best
haven't.
grandpa
He
action
made
movie in a long
Unforgiven
time
in
was
that
Logan.
group, man. What the fuck?
Unforgiven is good.
Unforgiven is good.
Yeah.
Would you guys consider Logan that? I think it is.
Logan is a Western, most definitely. It's a Western.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
no.
the way the dialogue audio would just drop out altogether and leave me completely in the dark during an important cutscene. It's a rickety roller coaster for sure, and there were definitely spots during the ride where I was not having a great time. But taken as a whole, this is one adventure where the bumps are worth it.
So he wasn't having a good time, but the bumps were worth it.
Yeah, they gave it an 8, I think, is the final.
Yeah. This reminds me of The Witcher 3, because when The Witcher 3 came out, it was the same way. There, everyone's like, oh, amazing game, blah, 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 but it has bugs, which I also experienced at launch. So I have a feeling I'm going to have a similar experience with this. Hopefully it doesn't crash, though, but, you know.
Yeah, I'm really worried about the performance stuff. I hope it runs good.
Black Myth Wukong's story is somewhat of a follow-up to the classic novel Journey to the West by Wu Chenggen, a book that I only personally know thanks to very loose adaptations like
so
Dragon
good.
Ball and Enslaved Odyssey to the West.
I
That
love
surface-level
Enslaved.
familiarity
It was fun as
didn't
well.
help much though, as the interpretation that the developers at Game Science have crafted here is laden with references to characters and events from the novel, without doing a great job of bringing you up to speed on who Sun Wukong is, or what he encountered on his titular journey.
Is that fair criticism?
I'm sorry, my dogs are barking, so I didn't really
And
hear
I
what they
wasn't
were saying in
listening
the
either.
video.
I
Oh.
wasn't listening either.
My bad.
So this is a sequel to the story, and it doesn't do a good job
I'm
explaining
okay with
who
it.
some
I'm
of these
okay with it
people are.
being a sequel because, again, also going back to The Witcher games are sequels to the books, so I'm totally fine with that because that way, like, they're probably looking at it as like because this game's not this game's made primarily for the Chinese audience, and the majority of them probably know the book. You know, it's like part of their culture. So just retelling the story again to them is probably not very interesting. So I think it's more interesting that they took the characters that were in the story and they did their own spin. It's very CD Projekt Red of them to do because Cyberpunk 2077 is the same way. Based on a tabletop, took some characters from it, made their own story. I think that's better, personally.
Other than like like his point there, other than Dragon Ball, like I've never read the book, so like
No,
all
yeah.
my
That
references to
Enslaved
it
game,
come
though?
from Dragon Ball.
Enslaved's a great game. Short, but very fun. Weird ending, though. It was made by Ninja Theory, the same people that made Hellblade.
Who made this game? Sorry.
This game's made by Game Science.
Okay. No, the thing that I was noticing was, I know it's Ubisoft, but like the difference in the quality compared to something like Outlaws, like that 10-minute video, and you see the ripples in the water. Did you actually see that? The ripples in the water of Outlaws, and then you look at the smoke in this, and the way that it looks so much better in this.
Dude, the last time I made a video on Outlaws, it got like
Quality.
limited monetization for no reason. Like Ubisoft is just salty.
None of mine have been hit.
Well, Ubisoft is copping it at the moment because not only do they have Outlaws, but they've got
Shadows.
Assassin's Creed, Shadows.
Yeah, that
game doesn't come out till November.
But they're still dealing with a lot of criticism because of it. Oh, yeah.
They're hoping that all dies down by then.
Yeah, big. Good luck.
I don't think it will.
I had to look online to understand who Zhu Bajie was, what his history with Wukong is, and what the significance of certain encounters were, because otherwise I'd have been completely lost at times. You play as the Destined One, a literal monkey who wakes up one morning and decides to set out on a roughly 40-hour journey to locate the 6 relics of Wukong. While the moment-to-moment storytelling is fairly unremarkable, largely due to a mute protagonist and side characters that aren't given enough screen time to develop, each of the 6 self-contained chapters culminates with a stunningly gorgeous animated vignette that tells a short story about that chapter's main antagonist. Each one is done in a completely different art style, with one drawn to look like a storybook, another using stop-motion animation, and another done in the style of an anime. Every single one of them is beautiful and poignant, and I couldn't help but wish that the main story managed to...
That's interesting.
That sounds like just Dark Souls, basically, in a sense, right? They're like new protagonists, weird, eccentric side characters. That's Dark Souls. So I have no problem with that, really, myself.
Yeah, it's only a complaint here because of the game itself, is they don't like that studio. It's so obvious how biased they are towards that game science place.
Who was this IGN reviewing it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. IGN wrote that hit piece. That Rebecca Valentine's worked for them. They're the ones that wrote the hit piece on this game, so that's why everyone's curious to what they were going to give it.
To move me in similar ways.
I just love the creature design.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
My initial read on Wukong was that it was a Souls-like, given the checkpoint system, the stamina bar that governs your actions in combat, and the dodge-heavy fighting style. But as it turns out, Wukong has more in common with traditional action games, like what you might expect from Bayonetta developer Platinum Games, than it does with anything that From Software has made. Most of the usual Souls-like conventions are missing. There's no penalty for death outside of respawning at the nearest checkpoint, you don't use a shared currency to level up your stats and purchase items or upgrades, and while there is gear and stats to consider, you largely just go and swap out the old equipment with the new, as opposed to making choices as to what kind of weapon or piece of armor you want to hold on to and upgrade. And even though I am
that sounds like Bloodborne kind of. Like Bloodborne also,
yeah.
Bloodborne's armor doesn't matter. Really.
Is that good or bad though?
I don't mind. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, me either.
It's basically just saying that you're swapping out equipment as opposed to like upgrading certain equipment and keeping something and just like maybe building on that. That's how I understand that? Am I right?
Yeah, and I'm okay with the no death penalty. I don't think every game needs that to be fun.
I agree.
I'm fine with Dark Souls having it.
I
like,
agree, because when you do all that stupid stuff on the side, it make your brain hurt.
Yeah, it's fine.
And
like you said, right? It's more
people
like
in the chat are saying it's more like Devil May Cry.
Yeah, Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, same thing.
I love Devil May
Big fan.
Linear action games.
Mr. Burger in the chat. What's up, Mr. Burger? Mr. Burger is making these One Piece shorts. They're really good too. He's been making these animated One Piece kind of like parody fun like videos. They're really good.
But Flash, have you seen Mr. Burger going off on a certain YouTuber? Did you see
I have.
that?
Yeah, we don't need to get into that.
No, I'm not gonna get into it. I'm just saying it was very interesting. You know what I mean? But let's continue.
His One Piece videos are fire though.
I'm gonna have to watch them, man. I'm gonna have to watch them. Shout out to Mr. Burger.
Kind of Souls-likes, ditching those mechanics feels like the right move for the game that Wukong is trying to be. It's far more forgiving, focused on keeping you in the action rather than pouring over.
Look at that! That's an interesting looking design. You see that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I love. These creatures look cool, man.
Yeah,
getting very Sekiro vibes from it.
your steps
a
to
good thing.
regain your lost currency
like
after
the look of
dying,
it.
and
Like-
Wukong is a better, more distinctive game for it.
Even
To
the
be
ground,
clear
like
though,
the
when I say it's
game.
more forgiving, I don't mean that it's any less difficult than a From style game. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that between this and Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, I had more difficulty getting through Wukong's toughest challenges.
I like that. That's
Oh,
good.
that's all right.
But at the same time, those challenges never felt unfair, and overcoming some of the tougher boss fights was always a satisfying combination of learning their attack patterns, figuring out where I could maximize my punishment windows, and tweaking my loadout in ways that made the best use of my chosen powers.
Man, that's a
I'm
dope
excited.
design.
Combat in Black Myth Wukong is simple and elegant, thanks in part to some tools that are really fun to play around with. Success
Oh,
hinges
yeah.
on a delicate
Look at
balance
that.
of Twitch
That's
reflex style
cool.
gameplay mixed with careful resource management that largely revolves around a focus meter, which builds up when you land hits and perfectly dodge
Look
enemy
at that.
attacks.
Oh,
Nah, that game
wow.
look fire,
That
bro.
was
That's
great.
a werewolf.
You gain a
Yeah,
focus
something
point
like
whenever that
that.
meter fills up, which you can then spend in the middle of a light attack combo for a varied combo, or you can just use a heavy attack on its own for a powerful strike that can be charged even further if 2, 3, or even 4 focus points are consumed all at once.
Okay, that's cool.
You also have access to a small handful of spells, governed by a mana meter, that are versatile enough to be useful in a wide array of situations. The Immobilize spell, for instance, freezes enemies for a short time, allowing you to get in some quick hits and potentially stagger them to allow for even more free damage. Cloud Step turns you invisible and creates a decoy for your enemies to focus on while you break away, heal up, and then hit your foe with a surprise attack that can crit.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
all
that's cool
these
too.
different options that you have to
Yeah.
tackle the game.
It's very Sekiro of them, which I'm
Yeah.
okay with.
I really like that game. I never finished it. I got to go back and
Oh,
finish
you
that
should.
game.
That game is
I know.
all meat, no filler.
Crit. Rock Solid briefly turns you into a statue that will cause an enemy's attack to bounce right off of you, giving
Yeah,
you an
exactly.
opportunity
There it
to
is.
counterattack.
That's
Ring
like
of
the
Fire
other
creates a
schools, like
barrier around you that will
Mortal
initially
Shell.
repel.
Which one?
Mortal
Shell.
Shell. Mortal Shell has a very similar mechanic called hardening. Exact same thing.
Enemies and grant you some health restoration, along with enhancing any stat-altering drinks that you may use while standing inside of it. And finally, there's my personal favorite, a Plug of Many, which lets you make multiple clones of yourself to all gang up on an enemy at once.
Oh,
It's literally
that's
Naruto.
cool.
Imagine being that bitch that wrote the Screen Rant thing playing this game. Where's all the different minorities?
And there's freaking
That-
creatures in this game. That's crazy.
It's all like there's not even that many humans in it.
Yeah.
It's all like giant monsters and shit. Like what the
Yeah.
fuck? What a nitpick. And they docked points for that. What a fucking joke.
I heard when I was coming into the stream, you said someone got fired.
Yeah,
What
they
happened?
fired some feminist that was working for him back in, like
Oh.
this is one of the things that got them in trouble. It's because they're like anti-feminist. It's fucking China, dude. What do you think,
Game
you
signs.
know?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
What do they think? It's not like it is over here. They don't fuck around with that shit.
Because this game looks pretty good. It
Separate
looks
from
awesome.
that, you've also got
Great.
transformations, which allow you to morph into powerful creatures that you've already bested in battle. What's really cool
I
about
like
these
that.
is that they don't cost any mana, they're tied to a very lengthy cooldown instead, and they turn you into a totally different character, complete with an all-new moveset, special moves that use their own focus meter, and more.
I appreciate that. That's some
Yeah.
variety. That is some game. This game has a lot of like. There's different ways you can tackle these things. I like that.
Are you
Like, you
saying
can-
that it's diverse in its
Yeah.
gameplay?
It's
Yeah,
got diverse gameplay.
Diverse where it actually matters.
Yes,
Yeah.
the gameplay.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
gameplay.
where it should be diverse.
I like so far. Like, I was already sold on it when people were complaining, but now I'm like even more sold on the game itself.
Yep.
I was always going to buy it. Once these people start bitching about something, it just makes me want to open my wallet.
Yeah.
Like they have the opposite effect. That's what's funny.
For example, one of the first bosses that you fight is a wolf with a fiery dual blade that has a lightning fast dash attack. When you defeat him, you'll gain his transformation and be able to do that very same dash attack to your enemies, and once you build up its focus meter, you'll even be able to do a hugely powerful leaping strike that can ignite foes and deal damage over time to them. And then finally there are spirit skills, which are earned by defeating certain more powerful versions of enemies and absorbing their essence into your gourd. These are effectively transformations that only last for one attack and
Man,
are
look how
also
good
tied.
that looks.
I know that
Man, that
werewolf
looks
look dope.
great. Yeah, it does. Looks
I like
really
it.
good. I'm loving these character designs,
Yeah.
the setting to this, like everything. It's like different in a good way. Like it's
I
something
see
that
the
I'm looking
problem.
for.
That's a white wolf. That's
Oh
the problem.
yeah, he's not the traditional gray.
Not that gray, like dark.
They made it white because they like white people. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I could have
Oh,
sworn
yeah, I see it now.
I saw gameplay somewhere where someone turned into this wolf. I could be wrong, but like,
Was he white?
That shit's so cool. Yeah, of course.
He
How
turned into a
dare
white
they?
wolf.
How
Shit,
dare
that's-
they?
How dare they? It's not,
The
not
fucking
good.
monkey is transracial or something.
How dare you?
You get to pick what color you are. Go with the
Tied to
yellow.
a fairly lengthy cooldown, but it's great to be able to, for example, use the Wandering White's powerful headbutt attack.
Oh, that is
yeah.
cool.
So cool.
Oh, let
right.
me see that again.
Yeah, that
was pretty
awesome.
cool.
Be able to, for example, use the Wandering White's powerful headbutt attack.
That's
get
fucking
an
cool,
extra step-
man. I don't think I've seen anything like that.
I haven't seen
In
nothing
a
like that
game.
either. I haven't seen nothing like that either.
That's fucking really cool.
They really put some love in this game, man. They really did.
Dagger after immobilizing an enemy. These spirit skills can also be leveled up, which makes it so that even the early game spirits never lose their strength as the
Look at that.
campaign rolls on.
What was
it's
that,
an excellent
frog?
blend of options, especially when mixed with some truly
like
incredible
a-
boss fights. And Wukong introduces all of these elements at a thoughtfully measured pace, so I never felt overwhelmed. Make no mistake, the
What's the fucking problem with this game then? Like this, other than the technical stuff, everything about this sounds
The only
great.
negatives I'm hearing is basically technical stuff, and the game is too linear, and there's not enough exploration. But
Okay.
I feel like this game's going to sell so much that once they make a sequel and they add those Metroidvania elements with like the different forms and shit, this game's going to be a 10 out of 10 come next time.
Wake up,
But
Tom.
I
It's
mean-
still great.
Tom's not a big video game guy. He's probably
No,
very.
sleeping in the chat.
He's not chilling. He's not dealing well with it. This is the only real video game topic, Tom. You'll be okay.
Oh,
It's all right.
real quick, Flash. How is YouTube Premium? Is it worth it?
I just write it off. So
Oh,
I think it's worth it.
man, you smart, man. Never think about
it's
stuff.
the write off.
Never
Destined
think
one is extremely powerful.
Oh, see another white boss.
And being
Oh, yeah,
in
that's the
control of him
problem.
is definitely a heck of a power trip, even
Look, they're all
beyond the
white.
minute.
See, that could have been an Indian man.
Yeah.
See, instead of this Fox character, this is the
God,
problem
thank you
here.
very much. Need to come again.
Thank you. Come again.
Hey, George the Giant Slayer with a 20 says,
George.
"What's up, you beautiful bastages? All hail to FlashCast." He really
Go
wanted
in
to
here,
say
George.
beautiful bastards,
Yeah.
but
that was
censorship stopped him. Thank you,
Bastards.
George. Good to see you, my friend. Get in here, George.
Yeah, get in here.
George of the jungle, watch out for that tree.
Powers and abilities he has at his disposal, nothing beats the feeling of just slamming a 50-foot bow
Oh, look at that. That is fucking cool. Look at those, like, skeleton monsters or whatever they are. It's just a cool
They're
looking
just
design.
Too white. All the bosses are all white. What's going on
What's
there?
this game trying to say? Is this game woke?
staff down
Keep
onto
going.
an enemy's head. But I still had to be smart with how I used my spells due to the fact that mana restoration is actually very difficult. This is where the resource management aspect of combat comes into play. I had to carefully consider what spells were actually worth the mana cost, whether I should save them for a more difficult second phase of a fight, and what
This is that's Dark Souls combat.
It looks
Yeah.
cool.
Resource management. You got to. That's like standard in a lot of games now because of
Yeah.
Dark Souls. Is that a complaint? It's a stupid complaint.
I consider Dark Souls to be the most important game made in the last maybe 15 years.
Absolutely, some of the best games I think, especially 1 and 3. I think those are two of the best games
I am
ever made.
praying
in
with
my
all my
opinion.
soul that Blue
doing
Point
stuff-
Studios is remaking Dark Souls. I hope so.
Doing stuff
already
like this
remade
just
Dark
means you need to
Souls.
strategize more. You're not just strategizing and learning the enemy's moves and strategizing around that, but you've also got to strategize when to use your mana and stuff. Like, it makes it even more interesting, fun to play. And again, you said it's been like that for a while now, so
Yeah, it's like the standard in these kinds of games.
yeah.
It's like that for a reason because it fucking works.
Whether or not I could capitalize on the opportunity if I were to spend the mana in the first place. For instance, even though it's my most powerful spell, I often had to hold off on casting my Pluck of Many spell that duplicates my character since it has an extremely high mana cost.
Get good, bitch.
Yeah.
If I cast it at a bad time, the boss could simply wipe out all of my clones with an AoE attack before they even got a chance to get some damage in. Sometimes the adjustment I had to make when I was stuck on a boss was a simple change in how I used my abilities, and the act of coming up with a new strategy and having it pay off was always extremely satisfying.
Of course it is.
While boss battles are where Wukong is at its best, there's also a highly respectable amount of enemy variety in its regular fights. Level design is of the wide linear variety.
Man, that
That is
game's
so
good.
important, by the way.
Path that leads from checkpoint to checkpoint.
Look at this
Enemy variety in a Souls game is one of the most important things.
Yeah.
'Cause if you don't, it gets so boring so fast. They don't do
Yeah,
that.
They do.
Oh, damn! This game comes out in what, 2 days?
Yeah, I think
Oh, yeah.
Monday. That's
Yeah.
what it said on Steam.
Monday night, right?
I'm looking forward to you guys' review, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Point, but
definitely
plenty
playing
of
it.
opportunities to venture off that path to discover optional goodies. The rewards for exploration are great too. I've found rare crafting materials to make new weapons and armor, special enemies that drop a new spirit skill, curio items that I could equip to enhance my build, and treasure chests that might permanently increase my max health, mana, or stamina, all of which made the time that I took to find them well spent. On top of that, there are also several secret boss fights to discover, key items with mysterious uses that I still haven't figured out, and plenty of more reasons
Very
to
God
stray
of
from the
War-like.
beaten path and keep
very,
an eye
very God of
constantly.
War.
Yeah, that's what a lot
The
of
way you
people
level
are
up stuff,
saying.
Very God
Yeah.
of War.
Yeah.
But he said new weapons. I thought the game only had the staff. That's what I was reading. So I wonder what weapons he's talking about.
Oh, let's see.
Least
Like melee
scanning the
weapon wise, I
environment.
mean.
The main one being that Wukong is one of the most gorgeous games I've ever played. Every environment is brimming with detail, from the chipped pieces of bark on the trees in the forest, to the real-time deformation of the snow as the Destined One moves through it while dragging his staff along. Not only that, but the animation is impeccable too, with wonderful touches and flourishes, like the way your character will do a little hop step when locked onto an enemy, then change to strafing around them as opposed to just running straight on while keeping their head turned. The music and sound design is fantastic as well, with epic drum-thumping battle themes and melodic flutes and chimes adding to the air of wonder and mystery as you explore the unknown. All that said, this game really would have benefited from a map, plain and simple. The lands you explore in Wukong are beautiful, no doubt, but they're far too big and too crammed with secrets to not give you some sort of navigational.
But what you were
so
just
they are
talking
big.
about how it's like linear and doesn't have a lot of like
Yeah.
directions you can go other than a few things off path. But now you're saying it's so big it needs a map.
Although in Wukong's defense, many Souls likes don't have maps either. Besides Elden Ring, obviously, because it's massive. But
Yeah.
all the Dark Souls, Sekiro, technically. Well, I mean, Sekiro technically has a map, kind of, but you know, Bloodborne doesn't have a map either.
Yep.
So I'm okay with that.
Help, especially the second and third chapters. This, along with the fact that it's aggravatingly hard to tell what obstacles can actually be climbed over and what's an invisible
Oh,
wall,
invisible walls.
can make exploration quite cumbersome. It's a good thing that the rewards are worth it. However, it's hard not to feel like all of Wukong's splendor and
If only that had been like a hip hop variant like it is in Shadows, and they would have gushed over it.
Yeah. The fact
Remember
that
that?
Yasuke has a rap theme song is like, God damn it,
Ancient
Ubisoft. Like,
Japan.
come on. Read the
In
room.
ancient Japan. So it's kind of offensive, really, if you think about it.
It is, yeah.
detail came at a great cost. I experienced numerous crashes, with
Whoa,
one
that's
particular
crazy.
heartbreaker
Yeah,
happening
no,
right after
No head, man.
And that's the one that's singing too.
All right, he's talking about the technical difficulty stuff, the technical issues now. And this is something that more than just this review have said too. It has me worried. Hopefully there'll be like a day one patch. It'll take care of a lot of this shit, but sometimes that can make it worse too.
defeating an extremely tough boss that I then had to defeat again. Several others were more minor and would typically happen as I was loading up a new chapter or fast traveling to another level, but they eventually add up to a lot of frustration. In addition to that, several times during important cutscenes, all dialogue, audio, and subtitles would drop out completely, leaving me without any clue as to what was being talked about and no way to rewatch the cutscene. Characters would occasionally switch to speaking Chinese all of a sudden, despite me having the audio.
Well, there's
set
an
to
answer to that question. So there's probably going to be English and Chinese.
Okay, good.
At least. I would probably want to play this in Chinese, though, to be honest.
I'm going to play it in English first. Hopefully it does New Game Plus.
Games like, if a game takes place in some, I like to watch it in the area, like, it's like when I played Ghost of Tsushima, I played that game in Japanese. Even though it's like default English, you know?
Nah, man, I don't like to think that hard. I just want to. I want English.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like Fatal on that.
Yeah, I just want English, man.